The throne room was every bit as magnificent as I was told it would be, expansive beyond any living space that I have seen before. It put some hangars I've known to shame. That isn't to say it was open. It was anything but. Statues of what I can only imagine to be long-dead rulers and heroes lined the walls, all of them looking down upon me and my band of humble mercenaries. They towered over us, and I couldn't help but feel judgment. The smallest among those statues must have been 5 meters tall, and they only grew from there. I thought back to when this contract came across my desk. I was unsure about it, to say the least. The pay was twice as high as anything I've ever seen, even if it took quite a bit of accounting, considering most of it was paid for in equipment and vessels. But it came from an Aarok queen, an Aarok request. I've only seen those things on Unity World where we took our shore leave from time to time, and even then they kept to themselves. And as far as I know, no arboreal mercenary has ever struck up a deal with one of their nobles, royals. I tried to learn about their society as much as I could. It has been 5 decades since contact, and information has saturated into rumors and hearsay. Even still, I think I'd be breaking new ground, forging an alliance. And so I accepted. A meeting, at least. Now here I am, kneeling like in one of those old human manuscripts before this queen. And, to be honest, she looks every bit the part. The room might be made from ancient carved stone and filled to the brim with strange art, but this being, everything seems to be focused on her, and even the gold that adorns the walls pales in comparison to fades away when you're transfixed upon this ruler. Taller than even me, she likely approaches 3 meters in height. To her sides were what I imagined to be her personal guard. Their black carapace was studded with silver, and they wore crimson capes that seemed to be intertwined into their shells. The weapons they carried didn't look like anything I've seen before either. A cross between a warhammer and a rifle. A rifle that could probably be better described as a damn cannon. I've never felt so underarmed. It was hard to focus on her soldiers, however, when the queen seemed to be everything they were, but enhanced. Her black carapace devoured the light around her, making her the focal point of not just the room, but the entire moment in time. Her body adorned in gold and covered in gemstones, her headdress, like a crimson trident, made her seem all the more imposing and infernal. It was dawning on me this may be her first interaction with my kind, and while I hardly have any pride for my species, there was a strange pressure I felt to impress this loyalty on behalf of my kin. I would never admit that to my troop, but from the outskirts of my vision, seeing even my lieutenants tremble imperceptibly, I think they felt the very same way. Then that queen approached, long, powerful insectoid legs allowing her to travel towards us in a quick yet uncomfortably graceful manner. We were kneeling. We weren't told to. It just seemed like the right course of action for me to take, and my troop followed suit. The silence was painful, and I was beginning to wonder if this negotiation was already botched. And then she spoke.
Rise, Captain. We have much to discuss. Welcome to the Void. Today we will discuss the Aarok in brief. There will be plenty of time to delve into their culture, their anatomy, and their place in the galaxy later. But first, it's best to get a very basic understanding of what these insect-like humanoid creatures even are. To start, they are a varied group, Similar to ant species on Earth, many of them are born specialized for specific roles that best help the colony. They are generally able to be placed into 4 categories, however, and that's the royals, the soldiers, the laborers, and of course, the drones. The vast majority of Aarok are female, with the drones being male. The specific hierarchy varies from faction to faction. However, generally speaking, royals rule and others serve, with warriors holding more political power than laborers, who hold more than drones. The royal, as described in the short story, is much larger than the other Aarok, reaching heights of 3 meters, or 10 feet, or even more. Both warriors are around 2 meters, or 6 feet tall, with laborers and drones around 1.5 meters, or 5 feet. Their bodies are completely encased in carapace. Most of the time, it's black. However, different groups and strains can have any colored shell. Brown, crimson, gold, white, anything that you can think of. Especially considering that dying of one's carapace is common to show allegiances. While they have 6 limbs, 4 of them being arms, one pair of arms is incredibly weak and useful for a little, and is often kept close to the body to avoid injury. It is incredibly common for these arms to break off during life in various accidents, and it is seen as no large loss, and it is not particularly damaging in the long run, though it is still incredibly painful should it occur. Drones and royals both have wings, though royals cannot use them to fly in adulthood, while drones can always make use of their wings. That being said, it is incredibly exhausting for a drone to fly, for any period of time. Even still, they are often used as scouts and messengers for just this reason. Perhaps the most unique aspect of the Aarok is their innate psionic ability to always be in somewhat stable telepathic communication with their royal, their queen. The royal can maintain this connection to 1,000 of their subjects, and the connection grows weaker over distance and, for lack of a better word, rebellious intentions of the being. As such, royals will generally only have the 1,000 under their command, and many complex laws have only enforced that over centuries. But we will discuss that more in depth when we dive into Aarok culture. But just to touch upon their culture, the Aarok has a specific feudal aesthetic. It is believed that upon their homeworld, specific literature was left behind by humanity that helped form their civilization in its infancy, and allowed them to grow into the strange futuristic medievalism civilization that it is today. They are a fractured group, the most numerous of humanity's children's species, sometimes viewed as more warlike than others. Some Aarok believe that they are the rightful protectors of the galaxy, a belief that, while somewhat noble, actually leads them into quite a few bloody conflicts with other children's species. When Aarok find themselves on Unity worlds, a concept that we'll explore later, but is basically just a planet where most, if not all, species live amongst each other, the Aarok tend to form reserved internal communities, but are still very protective of their city and their planet at large. We will close with how the Aarok view humanity's awakening as a whole. They are, in short, uneasy. While every individual, of course, has their own ideals, the prevailing thought is that humanity failed them. Not betrayed, but failed. Thankful for their uplifting, they see humanity as just another group that should fall under their rule and protection, seeing themselves as the most organized and capable. And humanity, of course, has proved already that they are unfit to be at the helm of the galaxy, having fallen in the past. I thank you all for listening. This begins the first part of the species overview. To come are the Arboreals, the Aquatarians, the Mechanicals, the Vractians, and of course, humanity. If you have enjoyed this video, please stick around. Of course, there's plenty more to come.